All right, and 3, 2, live. All right, we're here for Tablebreakers, episode 1. Nope, episode 9.
Oh, wow. 9. It's been 9 already.
We're at 9.
That's cool.
Yeah. And tonight, Bruce, Blaine, and Garrett will discuss what constitutes a dungeon. And this is a question that probably should be examined by most people that actually do want to run a game at their table. You need to discuss this. Welcome to Table Breakers. My name is Bruce. Garrett and Blaine, you have the floor.
Oh, we do, huh? All right.
Blaine, you go first.
Well,
get the rants out of the way.
Somebody decompress Blaine.
No, don't worry about that. I mean, honestly, it's just simply, study the pace here. I mean, what constitutes a dungeon? Literally that wonderful magical divider line between what is known and what's unknown. It's that magic door that separates you from, oh, hey, it's safety, there's the things we understand, and a big dark hole, which could be a dungeon. It could, the quote-unquote dungeon, the ruins, the under part of a castle, sewer systems, cave networks, fill in the blank, that point where you can't see far ahead anymore, and from that point forward, all you have is uncertainty and danger, and you have to go very carefully. That's the most basics of what it is. Oh, and hello.
Okay.
Are
you saying it's like a gauntlet then?
Well, in all essences, what you're looking at here is simply the idea that you have, in essence, like 3 or 4 different ways you can approach, what's an adventure. Okay, am I just echoing badly?
I'm hearing a little bit of an echo.
I'm sorry. I have no idea what's causing that.
I'm not certain.
Let me double check my. Yeah, shouldn't be on mine.
Because I'm sorry, I could hear it on mine. I'm just like, what? Wait a second. Oh, that's stupid. Let me see if I can close something out and get things. No. Okay, let's see if I can just keep talking there. That seems to be better. But no, it's like you just have a typical idea of, open setups, like what separates like an arena fight or a street fight from a dungeon is simply the fact is that you're transitioning from common into the unknown, and it really is just that point. Once you cross into it, it separates the rest of the world from immediate constant danger, and that's really what that point. And yes, a dungeon can be anything from. See, so what you should be asking yourself is like, what kind of dungeon are you trying to set up? Are you doing like a short-term dungeon, a mega dungeon, a hassle you have to get through to go past somewhere else? Case in point, like Mines of Moria, dungeon that you have to get through, or like Dragon Mountain for places that you're just going to be in there for an eternity. But sure, that's just my opening statement, and we'll move on to somebody else now. So,
well, Garrett.
Well, basically, for like with me, what would constitute a dungeon is a place that the PCs will go to actually, do exploring. So the dungeon doesn't necessarily need to be underground. It doesn't need to be, in anything else. It can be pretty much anywhere. It's a network or a place where the PCs need to explore and or exterminate. I mean, basically that's what, at least to me, that's what would constitute a dungeon. Also a place that, possibly you need to go to, remove, things to remove things or obtain things for quests.
Okay. And I'd like to introduce Connell into our Tablebreakers chat. He's a friend of mine, known him for over 10 years. Hung out with
Wonderful.
Not long.
the area as Garrett and Blaine, and was at a couple tables. Um, Connell, I'd like you to give your idea of what a dungeon is, if you can expand on what we've already heard so far.
I've heard what Garrett said, and I'm going to murder your name the first time I say it, so I'm going to apologize for this now. Kai?
Good enough for me. That's how you say it.
All right. I think a dungeon is limited. I think a dungeon is a dungeon. A maze is a maze. A gauntlet is a gauntlet. I think a maze is a pre-made area that's underneath a mountain that's been dug out by pick your race of choice, or a castle, pick your race of choice. I mean, if you go into a labyrinth, is a labyrinth a dungeon? No, a labyrinth is a labyrinth.
Okay.
So what constitutes to me as a dungeon is Lord whatever had something built underneath his castle. He's hiding Princess Barbie of the Week, and you and your compadres need to go down there and save her or rescue a jewel of what was the hell was I drinking last night. It's a pre-built thing, where the other ones are either by nature or just are. I mean, would you say going to the Underdark is a dungeon crawl?
Yes and no. I think you're on something on the idea that a dungeon is limited. Like you have unless you're dealing with like a mega dungeon. Like the Underdark is just that's a region. But say like going on like the like beneath fuck it. Like simply just the idea that you are right on the idea that there should be an end point, either the point where you leave or the boss or the prisoner or the MacGuffin of the week that you're hunting for. But the thing is that it really is just your players are going into a place that they don't know, and they're going to have to figure out how to explore it, find the solution to it, whatever it is. Be it, but there's so many flavors that it could be. It could be a slum, a cave, a dungeon, a ruin, whatever. It's just like it just has to be something that's just not known ahead of time.
Right. And that's the $1 million question is, hey, have I been here before? Well, no. Left, right, or down, center. Well, left will get you killed, but get you more XP.
Yep.
Well, and if you think about it, the Underdark would be kind of like Ptolus. Ptolus is not underneath Ptolus is not a dungeon. The sections that are sectioned off in there would be considered the dungeon.
So can
the entirety of it, I would not consider it one dungeon. It's separate areas.
I think I've noticed, and this is not a slide towards any of you three, but I find people use terminology out of place, especially in our community.
Yeah.
And I think dungeon is straightforward. There's no lost in translation. A dungeon is a dungeon. Some creepy guy built a holding cell in his basement for people he don't like.
Well, but with you saying like the Underdark, that would be saying like Ravenloft is a dungeon.
You can't escape it unless the powers that be let you.
But the thing is that Ravenloft as a whole, yes, you can't escape it, but it is not the dungeon. The dungeon are the different areas. There's different areas within Ravenloft that would be considered the dungeon.
What's his name? Strahd? Yeah, Strahd.
Strahd.
The weird little hidey hole that he hides people that he wants to vampirize or make his love slaves. That's the dungeon. That's the little hole in the ground underneath the castle.
But you can also run the castle itself it's also a pseudo dungeon. You enter the front gate and you're fighting your way up you're working your way up, not just fighting, but problem solving and handling issues and problems. If you're trying to actually remove Strahd, at that point, it's just what term you're using. It becomes interchangeable on what you're doing. Like a cavern system is just as much a dungeon network as a dungeon itself. A prison complex is also a dungeon. If you look at if you just erase one thing, one word, the mechanics are the same. You only can see X number of feet. You have X rooms that you need to go through. You can only you have to go through. You have to find your traps, do all this. So as far as all that is concerned, that is really in essence the same thing. It's just we can call it a dungeon, a castle, a ruin, a cavern network, whatever. As long as your players are limited, in vision, and they have to figure out how to through mapping or through intellect how to handle the problems, which is why it's different from say a mugging in a street or an arena fight. Those aren't dungeons because those are just simply I can see the end of the encounter. That's the end of it. So, but you can also break down every dungeon into a chain of encounters. Like I said, a dungeon can literally just be doorway that you have no idea behind, a hallway, and an orc guarding a cake. That's a dungeon.
Yes.
That's a very nice dungeon.
Yeah, but if you're going for a cake, normally there's 2 portal guns, and you shoot your way through.
Right, but the thing here is that we don't have portal guns for playing Dungeons and Dragons. The wizard is just a dork and just teleports. Really wants the party to go. We're useless because after all, we know Dungeons and Dragons is literally just everyone guards the wizard. The wizard solves all problems, and we move forward. But the thing is, that could be as simple as a dungeon. But then again, we don't want to play simple, unless you got a party of drooling nitwits who think a hallway is a challenge. But then again, we all know players and groups who find doors to be the ultimate challenge of all time. It's an unlocked door, guys. They spend 15 minutes figuring out how to unlock a door that's already unlocked. It's insane. But the thing here is that, but like I said, there's so many ways that you can actually do this to make it interesting. A dungeon is a very wide term. It can either be as narrow as we want it to be, or a very wide terminology. But all of them have similar characteristics.
Would you say a zoo is a dungeon?
It depends. Are we talking about the back rooms?
No, let's say a dungeon technically is another word for a prison.
I would. A zoo, I could see being a dungeon if it's set up in an interesting fashion that encourages the players to move. But say I just go into some local municipality zoo, not really.
You got creatures that are behind bars, glass. They can't reach out and touch you. By definition, that is a prison. By other definition, that's a dungeon.
Yes.
I actually have a comment from my chat. I have to read this from my buddy NZTNT. I don't know. I've been in some fun dungeons. Just never forget the safety word.
Now, again, fun dungeons are fun.
It's always a safety word. Fun.
Right. Fun dungeons are fun. But the thing is, what separates a zoo from being a dungeon, at least for our purposes of gaming, now, if you're gonna run the entire game as a bunch of druids who are stuck in animal form trying to escape a zoo, yeah, that's totally a fun dungeon to run through. But the players walking through the dungeon in the safety area where the tourists all walk through, going, oh hey, look at Lord Soth. He's sitting there in the anti-magic zone, going, hi, you gonna throw peanuts at me? I'm hungry. that's not much of a dungeon. That's actually a pretty bad dungeon for us. We can like, oh look, we have put Lord Soth in his natural environment, angry, brooding, and surrounded by ghost women. You can watch him from 9 to 5 every single day.
Make sure
And he
you
just
get
sits there.
your waiter.
And he's just sitting here going, I'm depressed. Now move on, tourists. We can now watch Lord Strahd being useless in his little home pocket dimension. You're just looking through the window. I can see a wizard doing this. He's just bored as hell. But that would I can see a zoo being an interesting dungeon, but not a very good one unless you're creative.
I
I
love
that dungeon.
Was that?
I just said you can't have a prefabricated dungeon.
No. Especially when I like tour guides and maps. Never put fire escape plans in your dungeon. If your players ever ask, "Is this an OSHA certified dungeon?" Just say no, because your players will just be like,
"Well." The next encounter they have after they've asked, "Is this an OSHA certified dungeon?" is they find a pit trap, and at the bottom of the pit trap, there's a bunch of wheelchairs and skeletons of people that used to use the wheelchairs.
And a clipboard and a guy with a a clipboard and a skeleton with a helmet on. So.
Next time, next time Bruce runs his campaign I'm in and we found ourselves in the dungeon, I'm going to make sure to ask, is this an OSHA certified dungeon?
So you can have that. Just so you can have that achievement unlocked. You discovered the pile of dead wheelchair bards.
Yes.
How many of them do you have? 50.
Look, I had a player just wander through the clipboard in one of my dungeons and literally just sat there and went, "No, this is totally unsafe. There are no handrails over these pit traps. This is totally horrifying. There's no mirrors at the corners. This can't stand." And when he got to the end, he literally just threw the paperwork of OSHA violations at the villain and went, "We'll leave if you fix the dungeon." And the villain's like, "Wait, what? What? Like, no, we're capable of killing you. We're already sure of that. So we're going to leave you alive, and we'll come back in 6 months and make sure that you've put up handrails, proper lighting, and all your proper mirrors, and you smoothed out some of the holes." And the villain's like, "What? Yeah, we're just OSHA inspectors." And I'm like, "This is the dumbest adventure ever." Okay, I'm running with it. Okay, cool. Like I said, when your players take a joke and make it actually interesting, it's fun. So.
Oh yeah, and it just shows you the cleverness of your party, which is always brilliant,
right?
In some way.
The fact that they ended up recruiting that villain by literally just coming back 6 months later and asking him if he had actually fixed the dungeon, and they were like, "Oh, cool." Thank you.
Historically, the Vikings did it to the French. "Hey, we won't raid your city if you pay us our weight in gold." French are like, "Sure, here's some gold."
Yeah, but like I said, you can have a lot of fun with a dungeon if you're just willing to work with it and work with your definitions a little bit. So, I like your definition, but I'm willing to expand on it to have more fun. So,
and that's fine. Like I was going to say, I love words. Words are a very important creation that we use. And I don't like it when words get lost in translate, where I say this, but I got 5 different people taking it 5 different ways when I originally meant it the way it was originally created.
True enough. True.
I mean, I've had DMs say, "Hey, get ready to do a dungeon crawl." Okay, we're going to the Underdark. I'm like, that's just
not a dungeon.
That's not a dungeon.
Perhaps I would go with them with some clan's household for being counting at that, but the thing is that also dungeons. I have as a GM, you should be asking yourself what kind of expectation you're going to be asking your players to put into your dungeon crawl. Is the dungeon literally, God, I hate this place, but that one dungeon in Waterdeep or wherever the hell it is, where the entrance is literally in a bar?
Oh, I'm playing that campaign right now, 5e. It is amazingly dumb. Yearning's Portal or something like that.
Yeah, where you ride an elevator down into the dungeon, and then it's like whenever you want to come back up, like, wow, what prep time do you need? Literally, we ride down the dungeon on elevator. Whee! Does it have a gift shop at the end? I don't know. Let's find out.
I annoyed my DM greatly when I bought the biggest ball of yarn I could find, and just like buy a bunch of them, tie them together. Well, this is the way out. Just follow the yarn.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is that players have always had tricks, either balls of twine, chalk, lighted rocks, just a chain of lighted rocks behind you. I mean, there's a lot of weird ways that every player has found a way to not get lost, because God help you, nobody can actually take a piece of paper and draw in what you've been telling them, because, that's hard. And
very hard.
Due to out of ink, it is.
Right. Well, even with a dungeon per se, I know last week's conversation was random encounters. I love having random weird ass encounters in dungeons. Absolutely. Some of the weirdest things, like there's a zombie beholder down here. Why the hell is there a zombie beholder down here? As a DM, I put it there.
But the thing here is, okay, dungeons are about the only place I'm totally okay with the random encounter, because once you pass that threshold from known to unknown, things happen, and I'm like, you know what? If we walk into the room and there's some guy who's just like his hobby is carving up bodies, that's cool. We're gonna fight that thing, because we're in the place where everything is potentially hostile. You're not going, should we ask it what it's doing on if it's a friendly or not? You're down here in the land of orcs, kobolds, and butchers. And the undead. We should probably assume everything here is hostile.
Barton, Illinois?
What was that?
Bartonville, Illinois?
Yeah, you know what? I'm pretty sure that's pretty accurate. That's definitely accurate. But
No, Creef-Tucky.
Hey now.
Creep Course where the orcs live. Thank you very much. The undead live next to the alcohol plant in Bartonville.
For you guys that are in,
there's no alcohol plant in Bartonville. It's Beacon.
Yeah, but the fumes drift across the river.
We're just talking about the original location of Springfield for Simpsons, which is about an hour north of Springfield, Illinois, in Peoria.
Yeah, the school that Bart and Lisa goes to throughout the entire show is a high school I graduated, Peoria Central. One of the main artists in the show graduated, and he's like, for our school, I'm going to use the one I went to. So it's a daily reminder whenever I watch Simpsons, like, I went to that hellhole.
Yeah, pretty much. But no, it's like, but yeah, God, where were we? I have no. I'm tired. I'm sorry.
I don't know. I think we were in a dungeon.
We were in a dungeon.
Random encounters in dungeons. That's what we're into. But yeah, but the thing is that one of my GMs forgot one of those early rules that every person who wanders through a dungeon is we're always on edge. We're always suspicious. We were like 6 levels down in the dungeon. We're nowhere near the surface. We're nowhere near civilization. And then suddenly Jim's like, you encounter some beautiful maiden who's asking for help. What do you guys do? And my first answer was, I shoot her.
Kill it now.
I shoot her. I shoot first. And the rest of the party's like, wait, what? Blaine, you're like the most social person in the party. I'm like, we are literally 600 feet underground. Why is there a wounded, beautiful woman lying next to a lake of poison asking for help? No, I shoot her, and I shoot her multiple times until she's dead. And the rest of the party, the GM's like, I forgot. You actually don't trust anything in the world. I go, no, you're right. I'm very paranoid and distrusting of everything. So, yeah, I did shoot. And like, yeah, you killed the succubus ahead of time. I'm like, thank you. And we moved on with our day.
Homework.
It's like the GM's
but
just
we
like,
could have had fun with her later.
No, because we're way too far from the surface. If anyone died, I would have carried him out, but I still would have.
Bag of holding.
No, I would have at least,
dead.
Yeah. burn him to ashes and then carry him up in a bag. But the thing was the GM forgot that once you're in a dungeon, everything is potentially hostile. We may look at it, we may talk to it for a second, but we're going to assume it's going to try to eat us. And if we find that one guy who's down in the dungeon who's not hostile, well, okay, cool. That's 1 out of 99. So if you're 99% accurate on the everyone's here to kill us, you should always try to kill everyone back. And that's the difference between surface world campaign fun and dungeon. Dungeon is just morals go out the window. War crime o'clock is now starting.
I will remember this for the next campaign. On it.
War crime o'clock.
Yeah,
yeah.
My favorite is there's always whenever you find a room and there's a hole, and you look up at the hole, and then all of a sudden something starts rolling out of the hole, and it's green.
Oh,
yeah.
Plop. Oh, no, it's square.
Oh, a gelatinous cube.
Random cubes. Always had to worry about random cubes.
You know, it kills me. It really does. Video games, movies, even in our community, barely anyone has the common sense to look up. You go into a random room. What are you doing? I'm looking to my left, and I'm looking to my right, and I'm looking down and to the back wall. Anywhere else?
Oh.
No, that's it.
Oh no, my agent groups learned this lesson way too well because we were dumb too once. We were young and idiots. We walked into a room and we're like, what are you doing? Left, right, forward, back. Okay, we're all secure. And then Grells came out of nowhere and ate half the party. And we were like, oh shit. And from that point forward, we always look up now because why? Grells, cubes, spiders, driders.
Lurker above, stalactites.
Right. Whatever. Beholder, who's just getting ready to start I-beaming us all. You just can't trust the idea that
the Beholder's in a wheelchair.
Yeah, the Beholder's in a
yeah.
wheelchair, pushing himself around.
Anti-magic field. He's in a wheelchair now.
Oh God. See, I still remember I-Tyrant. That was a great book with the idea of, we're all here, and all of a sudden the Beholder appears out of nowhere. Was that?
I-Tyrant 2nd edition.
Yes.
Amazing book.
That's an amazing book.
I know with listening to you guys on previous episodes of this and knowing Bruce as long as I have. Really? 10 years? Holy crap. I figured by now you'd find better friends. The whole wheelchair thing, I for the most part, I agree with you unless you play your character like Professor X, which 5e lets you.
But 5e is not a game, at least not in the millennium that I exist in. It might be a game they sell in the same reality I live in, but I pass by that shit just like I pass by feminine hygiene products. You're on the same level of necessity in my life.
I have a paying gig where I'm asked to run certain systems. Sure. So I run what I get paid to run. So everything is still in my orbit.
I know your pain right there. I know your pain. I have 5e only because I was told to buy it.
Yeah.
I don't look at 5e as a valid system. I look at 5e like I look at vegans when they try to protest the fucking meatpacking plant, I'm like, you guys are really at the wrong place. And most people that I know that exclusively play 5e, they will never look at the games I want to run. They'll never look at the adventures I want to buy. They never look at anything away from that one specific shelf where all the 5e stuff is.
Yeah.
That nothing else matters. I only play with DMs that run published adventures. Oh, get out.
No.
Get out.
No.
Get out. Fuck you. But I can't. It's not my story.
Even this falls back to dungeons. I mean, back to what count as a random dungeons with all the different systems. Not anything that falls into the original Dungeons & Dragons, Pathfinder. And there's another system out there, the one you run, has the classical dungeons in it. I've done what was it? Not Blade Runner. Shadowrun, where there was a dungeon encounter. And really, realistically, as we were stuck in Best Buy and we didn't know our way out.
Hey, Bruce, get
Yes,
closer
sir.
to your mic. They said that you're a little soft.
How's
That's
that? How's that?
there's a blue pill for that.
How's that?
Ooh.
Much better.
Oh,
Daddy. Okay.
Daddy, sorry, Daddy.
Daddy, sorry.
We're back in that dungeon again. Damn it.
Welcome to Tablebreakers ASMR.
This is why I drink.
This is why I cry at night.
Soy-based Jeremy says, "I need a soy voice from Bruce." Soy voice, huh? Let me pretend I just had some Dos Equis. Oh yes, we are just having a great time over here in San Antonio. The Heat and the other clubs are having their drag shows this week. No matter what Baby Jesus does.
And I probably should apologize to anybody who sits down at the table with me. I am a classical historian type personality. I like aspects. So when you say dungeon, I'm thinking the variation of the first prison that was built underground. And I think that's where my hang up is.
Oh, I know where you're coming from because I fight the exact same urge, but then again, I'm doing that usually with like gear, equipment, and other aspects like clothing, or a lot of other aspects that tend to get brushed aside, but I'm very picky over, and so yeah, I know where you're coming from. Very, very familiar on that one. So
It's like we're walking through a forest. This is not a forest. It's one train in a parking lot.
You know, the thing is,
You're at Walmart.
It's hilarious, but I used to do that voice for 92.7 when I interned a little bit over there, and they turned that voice into a character that later became Jim the photographer.
oh God, I remember him.
Yeah, he died from cocaine overdose in 07. I felt sorry for the dude, but he was a kind of a crazy individual.
True.
Yeah, most of them were.
Well, I mean, it's
Kinda have to
radio
be.
people. Radio people are a bit more removed from reality than us streamers are.
That's
Not
a good
by
way of putting
much.
it. Yeah.
Well, hell.
Some of the shit I saw, I saw work interning at Rock 106. I agree on. They're their own sect of culture that's way out there.
And
I
it's
just was-
funny. The funniest part about it was the lady DJs that actually thought they were something. And you could find the same basic bitch at a Chili's asking for your order. And I'm not saying anything negative about Chili's. I use Chili's as a go-to whenever I need a basic bitch food item. Chili's does a really good job of making mainstream food items. They do. But they usually hire just like a random waitress chick number 78 or number 7,342.
Right.
And they always get these ones that will be pleasant as long as they get that reciprocation. But I wouldn't test it on a Friday or a Thursday before a major holiday. You're asking for trouble.
All right. Well, Bruce, voice cracked. Bruce, myself, Blaine, and Connell, all three gave our definition. You have yet to give yours.
My definition of a dungeon is very simple. It's going to be underground. It is not going to connect to a natural terrain. It is something that was artificially made. It is a location for you to have an instance in your game, be it a raid, a prison break, or something of that sort. Rarely do I have my dungeons connect to a terrain that's underground, like a underdark vault, an underdark vault, or an underground cavern that expands into a huge location, kind of like Blackreach for Skyrim. I don't typically do that. My dungeons, I actually have started to do a lot of studying on classic dungeon design from Gary. Not that I'm a Gary Gygax worshiper. My Gygax statue and nightstand combo still weeps blood that I don't play 5e. But
I was starting to wonder about your allegiances there. Why you're?
I know. Well, I'm still tied to Monty Cook, and Monty Cook I thought was a really good game designer. So much that I put him in my fucking book, Elijah's Story and Election Weekend. But the thing is that I really enjoyed what Monty Cook did with dungeon design with Tolus. And drink, everybody, because I mentioned Tolus. That's the rule here. You drink in Season of Myth whenever you hear Earth Dawn, or whenever Garrett mentions something, or we want all of you to have kidney trouble. Just kidding.
I haven't figured out what my drinking comments are yet, but hey.
But
every time Blaine rants, you have to drink.
Oh, fuck that.
I prefer having
you just start drinking at that point and then never stop.
Yeah. You just drink until you pass out in your chair like I do a lot of times. You'll hear me snoring softly in the middle of a streaming session. Anyway, you have a dungeon, which is typically a location where you're going to have a lot of different trials. And I would prefer to have multiple locations, even if it goes deeper. I want you to be able to find a way out where you can at least alleviate the pressure from the atypical dungeon difficulty that seems to ramp up. I want the game to have hills and valleys as you ascend in levels, and I want you to be able to properly test your wits. Thank you, Hungry Ewok. I want you to be able to test your wits against what I have set up against you.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm basically right there with you, bros.
I really studied hard under Keep on the Borderlands B2, In Search of the Unknown B1, and then Tolus, of course. I studied quite a bit under Frog God Games. Frog God Games did a wonderful dungeon called Stoneheart Valley or Stoneheart Mountain Dungeon. And what that is it's a dungeon that has one obvious entrance. But as you continue to proceed downward into this dungeon, you find about every other or every third level, it's between that, you'll find a way for you to escape to where the sky's above your head. And you have a new way to access the dungeon instead of going all the way back to the very beginning, level 1. You don't have to do that. I want players to be able to at least create their own opportunities to insert themselves into the thick of things quicker. But I don't want it to seem like, okay, this is a cosmopolitan game. Let's all teleport in the middle of the big bad and get our asses kicked, except for you, Bobby, because you are Will Wheaton in Star Trek Season 1, and you're going to save us. No, I don't want that.
Oh, so wizards.
So, and so
can we call him Ricky Bobby?
Go ahead, Garrett.
Can we call him Ricky Bobby instead?
Ricky Bobby? Ricky Bobby's good.
Yeah.
If you ain't first, you're last.
I love reading old literature, like the Count of Monte Cristo. I said that wrong, but y'all know what I'm talking
Count
about.
of Monte Cristo.
Not just a sandwich.
Good sandwich, though.
That is a good. I like my turkey with turkey, not ham. I just don't like hamming around. That's bad.
Keep hamming it up.
I know.
Oh, we're starting to get punny.
Hey, I'm okay with this. I'm gonna be quiet for this one.
But I like, just like I said, old literature. Pick up a book at the library that has The Great Escape from pick up the movie The Great Escape with Steve McQueen. There's your dungeon. It's a Nazi camp, but it's a dungeon in its own right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, one of the comments over on mine was one of the things I love about Palladium is all the random encounters and adventures in every book.
I just need to iterate this for Soy-Based Jeremy. Soy-Based Jeremy, I've watched Apocalypto 2 times so far, and Apocalypto is much better than the Green Inferno. I'm just going to leave it there. And if you haven't seen either of those movies, you should watch them. I hated the Green Inferno last 3 minutes.
See, I know I've seen Apocalypse Now because, well,
that's completely different.
Yeah,
completely different movie.
I've not seen the Green Inferno.
The Green Inferno would be really cool if Quentin Tarantino had directed it.
Ooh.
There being a higher body count.
This one had a pretty high body count. I drank every time somebody died in that movie, and I was not quite equilibrium drunk, but I was buzzing a little bit.
Man, that's like saying I drink every time I watch Boondock Saints and the F-bomb gets dropped.
Or you watch the 10 Commandments and every time they say Moses, you take a drink.
Moses.
Well, my liver's gone, or drink light alcohol and be able to make it through the movie.
You know, I'll leave that comment alone. That one too. But no, I agree with what Bruce. I think a dungeon needs to fit a set of rules. By definition, a dungeon is a prison. It's not, the Walmart of the downstairs.
Well, it's also, every DM has a different definition of what a dungeon to them is.
Yeah, I mean,
everything that we're saying may not be the end all be all. If you have your own interpretation, we're just giving you our interpretations.
Okay, to answer Shadzar's question of how does it function, Bruce hit a lot of the important things there, which is it's supposed to be a test. Like I said, it could be whatever it is. Hell, it could be a rolled over cruise ship that's just been sitting there rotting on the next to a coastline, and you're just fighting your way through an upside down ship or upside down whatever ruins. But the thing is that it really is just simply a continuous set of challenges that you're just trying to push through. And it really does come down to is, have you done a good job preparing your party for it? Like, you can't just throw a party at a dungeon and go, good luck. I mean, you gotta preface. You can, but don't be surprised when inevitably your party all dies and you're like, one more total party kill for me.
Bruce.
But
Blaine's trolling me.
What's that?
Blaine's trolling me.
Yeah. One more party kill, and I go, Bruce.
Look, five TP keys, and I get to have a free ice cream cone down at the ice cream shop. No, you'll get that.
Mike over at Just for Fun will give me a free sody pop.
Woo! I killed a party. Punch my card. There we go.
I killed Richard and I made him leave and go home and bathe. Do I get a free candy bar now?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Are you talking about the one I'm thinking about?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
Him and his buddy.
10 TPKs, the next one is free.
Ooh. Look, if my GM's killed a party 10 times and we're all making the next one, it might as well be a free, because I think at that point we're all demoralized and we're like, whatever, just kill us. Because at that point we realize no matter what we do, we're all going to die, so there's no point. So you got to at least make them
work for it.
What's that?
You got to make them work for it. You can't outrun death, but you sure shit make the son of a bitch work for it.
Yeah, no, I don't have to outrun death. I just have to not be the last one in the line of the party people.
I'm sorry, I'm making your ears hurt. I'll try to, whatever it is I'm doing, I'll just stop. So,
sorry about that, Soy-Based Jeremy. Hopefully it's nothing personal against Kai, but everybody has a different frequency their voice is at. I'm at A minor.
I have no idea. So
I know what I'm at. I know I did chorus when I was a kid. I know I'm a bass. Fat guy with a loud voice.
Oh, he's trolling the shit out of us. It's so
okay.
Okay, so the thing is that I use a dungeon as a test. I use it as just a set of challenges, and I don't want to slam my players with it. I mean, I do, but I don't. I want my players to feel challenged. I want them to feel insecure, and I want them to eventually triumph.
Well, if they're playing Dungeons and Dragons or whatever, they already feel insecure.
Not all of them. And most of the players that I've had are like you and me, where we've got
We're
a
overconfident.
fair amount of confidence. You know, we almost have enough confidence we can start like giving it to people like vaccine injections. Here, have this, have this, have this, have this, have this, have this, have this.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I agree. I mean, being in Bruce's campaign, there's been a few of them where I walk at the end of the night and we all say our goodbyes. I just sit back in my chair, crack open a beer, and say, "Well, fuck," and there was that. But he's yet to kill me so far.
Soy Base Jeremy, I didn't recognize it because I pay no attention to Star Wars sequels. I don't even pay attention to the Star Wars prequels. I pay attention to Timothy Zahn, and that's about it. I'm sorry.
She talking about the first Daddy issue trilogy or the second or third of the Daddy issue trilogy?
Yes.
The first one from the 80s.
Oh, New Hope finding Daddy issues.
Thrawn rules.
I didn't know I
Thank you for my
had them
chat.
yet.
Right.
I really love Star Wars, I do, but I'm not a fan of what they are parading around in Star Wars now. There's a difference.
Speaking of,
Mandalorian is good. I will say that.
I'm happy you like it.
So this is on topic with Star Wars because there's nowhere bloody near topic of the original topic, but it does stay on Star Wars. My daughter just got back from the wonderful world of Disney World, and there's a whole Star Wars aspect to it, right? And they're looking to pick me up a souvenir. Well, according to the lady who took my daughter down to Disney World, they stopped and said, "Is there anything here that your daddy might like?" My daughter, who's now 11 years old, said, "No, daddy doesn't appreciate things from movies about daddy issues."
Wow.
And
that works.
I get a phone call. "You will not believe what your daughter said." I'm like, "I'm sorry."
That's right. I wore this specifically for Bruce tonight, by the way.
Marvel,
when the good old days happened, yes. Yeah, I love the old 80s cartoons and the old 80s comics, and I've got Walt Simonson in the other room. Not himself, but I've got his work in the other room. I would love to have Walt Simonson in my other room, like, "Okay, are you done drawing my new Thor comic yet?" No, sir, quit beating me. All right, get him some pork butt and a couple of loggers, and afterwards he needs to draw another 17 pages before he can get to sleep.
you hear that ding in the background? It's now Bruce's new restraining order.
Yeah. Well, I have a very big, large respect, shocking respect for Walt Simonson's Thor. Quite possibly my favorite comic of all time. And
I will agree with that one, Marhockman. Thundar was amazing.
Wow.
We ride.
That's hitting back the Wayback Machine.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that? It's one of the best comics or best cartoons ever made, and it actually continuously gets referenced in streams today by Gen Xers like myself and the younger crowd.
Yeah.
Bruce, do you have a Discord command?
Do I have a Discord command? What do you mean?
In your chat?
No.
Oh.
Why?
Because soy-based Jeremy said that if you had a server, he would post pictures.
I was actually wanting to post stuff on Sunday with my art stream with Machini.
See, I am actually trying to rattle my brain of the last several years, the last 10 years. Has there been any movie out there that has had a atypical dungeon scene for fantasy out there? Or has it all been basically above ground or running through hallways?
Actually, yeah. What was it? The Lord of the Rings when they were running through
Mordor.
Mordor is
Yeah.
not a dungeon.
Moria.
is not a dungeon. It was a
was
Dwarven stronghold.
But the thing is that
yes.
but for dungeon,
It used to be a dwarven stronghold,
but it was now in a monster-infested hellhole. So,
but that doesn't make it a dungeon. That's just your local.
Okay.
But
stop on Sunday.
But it does fit the requirements of dark place full of monsters, traps, other things, encounters of plenty. So it fits almost everything but the actual term. So you would call it. So we're entering into the vast underground city. So you could get pedantic and go, well, we are about to enter into the vast underground city that is the former mines of Moria that runs through the mountain range that will bypass the mountains. Or your players will sit back and go, okay, so we're entering the dungeon, right? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, you are.
If you enter the dungeon, you need to run over the bridges of Khazad-dûm. Watch out for this thing, and magically show up on the other side of the mountain where everybody's okay.
Right, but the thing is that a GM can make that as intense or as fast as the movie made it. Well, the movie only had a half hour to spend there. It had to go a little bit faster, but. If you go see
3 months to get through there, I think in the book it was months.
Yeah, or you can look at say like I know it's an odd reference, but like the 1-for-1 scale recreation of Middle Earth done in Minecraft, you could actually walk forever through Moria to go see how big it really was, and it's huge. And yeah, like Moria is definitely a case of. Is the Underdark a dungeon? No. Is Moria a dungeon? No. Would certain parts of it be dungeons? Yes. Or would they be underground contained encounters that have challenges that need to be defeated? Yes.
I feel sorry for my players because I get hang up on I get wordage. It's important.
But the thing here is that
there we go. The Legion of Myth reply there,
and it's like play around and play with a bunch of people who are pedantic and do love definitions. Where I have been in conversation where we've argued over exact definitions of what we're dealing with, and which point at the end we all get down to, but ultimately it is this, and it's like, yeah, but the correct terminology is we understand. And yes, the term dungeon is dungeon, or we just call it a castle. Is it a fortress? Is it a holdout? Is it an outpost?
Is it a stronghold?
Is it a forward fire base? No, it's a castle. Okay, guys, we're going into the castle. Is it a palace? What kind of palace is it? Is it around a moat? Shut the fuck up, okay? It's a castle.
How big are the palisades?
Oh, God damn it. Okay. And at which
Is
point,
there women there? Can I do them?
Yes.
I cast magic missile into the darkness. There we go. We've hit all that.
Yes. Like, is it a tavern? Yes. Yes. Around pedantic people, you need to be pedantic and super accurate, or you just realize there is a point where you just go, where you see a hang a sign that says, "Fighting that way, get to it," and or better yet, abandon all hope, ye who enter here. And at which point players go, all right, let's go do this shit. And then they go in because players are stupid and will charge into. You could put a sign that says death here, and they'll just go running right into it because that's what players do.
Because that's how we get XP, so we can get new shit.
Right, because going to go mug the guards or something else. Yeah, there's always somebody like, we need money, quick, let's go to the dungeon. Fuck it, whatever. Sure, let's go.
Yeah. Oh, another system. Few years ago, the fine people who produce Middle Earth Gaming had a system out that runs with 5e. And it was interesting. It's like, how does a party get rich? Well, we rob people that we killed. In Middle Earth, no, you can't do that. That's an evil act. But they were evil. I don't care. You cannot loot from dead people. How am I supposed to make my money back?
What's your job title? Murder hobo.
Burglar. My job title was burglar.
Battlefield scavenger.
What was it? What was
Recycler of wealth.
Recycler of wealth. Yes.
Reacclimation specialist.
That's an evil act. You can't do evil and be heroes. Fuck you.
The IRS at Faerun. It's a 10% tax when you die.
I would love to play just an IRS, the tax agent for a kingdom whose entire job is to go after adventuring groups and collect on 10% of their adventuring wealth. Oh, I see you run a dungeon. Hand over. Pay your taxes, man. Pay your taxes.
I don't remember who this is. My daughter kind of got me hooked on TikTok about 2-3 years ago because some of the creators on there are freaking hilarious. And one of the guys does, kind of what we do, where he kind of pokes fun at D&D and whatnot. And he does.
Are you talking the psychologist?
Oh, that guy. That guy's my hero. I want to meet him. Welcome to D&D therapy. Oh, it's you again.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't him. But yeah, okay. And he's like, "Hi, I am an IRS for da da da. How much would you and your party say that you gathered over the last 6 months?" Wait. There's no reason to pull out your swords. You will be fined. And it was a whole skit. And I'm drinking beer, and I came across this one. I had to put the beer down because I would have dropped it in my lap, laughing so damn hard.
Yeah. Oof.
Okay. So my idea of the reason why I'll use a dungeon, but it's the same reason why I use underground ruins, or I use like a broken city, or I use like a bar on a Saturday night when you're trying to like find somebody and they say, well, I'll be at this place here. And you go into this bar and you've got to make like some will saves because of the smoke. And then you have to make a couple of strength checks to push through the crowd. And then you've got to, you're going to have more work going into a bar in my campaign world than you will going into a dungeon. It's easier to go and navigate a dungeon than it is a bar on a Saturday night.
Well, yeah, a dungeon's a little bit more straightforward. Everyone in here wants to kill me. Yeah, I mean, there's that great line from the first Mortal Kombat movie. I'm in a strange place, surrounded by people who want to kick my ass. It's like high school all over again. That's a dungeon.
Yep. In a way, yeah. I've also been to a few bars where that's actually... Look, I've been to a few bars where, yes, I think everyone there did want to kill everybody else. So it was pretty average. So.
Yeah, a couple of comments from my chat. Murder hobbits. Professional reorganizer of wealth distributions.
That's classy. That's a gold star winner right there.
That's called a politician. You know that, right?
I think dungeons are. I think in most modern table sit down, let's roll some dice. I do believe dungeons are still their bread and butter in most campaigns. There's a few of them that just don't work with. I get that.
Yeah.
But Your party is now going to the abyss. Is the abyss a dungeon? No, but it does have dungeons in it.
Yes.
And the response back for that one is no politicians or backstabbing rogues.
But they are professional wealth distributors, so it's okay. But I think that like the moment you pull out maps, I think as the grid squares come out, I think you're now in a dungeon. I really do think.
I don't know. I mean, I got some vinyl. I have a couple of nice vinyl maps where there's basically a road in a forest, or a road in a plain, or road in ruins.
But I said, let me rephrase that a little bit.
Oh hell!
Oh no. But no. Once the map comes down and you're like, room 1, room 2, room 3, and you're moving around through there, that's when we're no longer in Happy Land, where it's just like, oh, we're being mugged by bandits on a field, on the road. Now we're into, well, 45 kobolds have been squeezed into this room. How are we gonna handle that? Open the door, throw alchemist fire into the room, and just like close it, and then and wait for the bang.
See, that's my solution. That is my solution. Garrett was there for this encounter. We were about ready to fight a bunch of witches that were in a wooden house. No one in the party thought they were good people. We all knew these were bad witches. Water wasn't doing the job. I threw fire through the window. The house caught on fire because that's what you do with evil witches. You burn them. And the rest of the party's like, oh, that's an evil act. I'm like, we were going to kill them.
That's just room clearing tactics. Do it.
Even though it violates every law of armed conflict, sure, okay. If there are any paladins,
those are
instant fighters.
Those are flashbangs. I don't know how come it caught on fire. I don't know what happened.
Look, there was a flash, there was a bang, and a lot of fire. I don't care at this point. The paladin.
I thought that was my taser gun. It was alchemist fire. My mistake.
My mistake. I didn't label it right.
Oops.
Look.
Hey Max, how you doing, bud?
Yeah, I'm doing all right.
Look, the moment there's actually a Geneva Convention for adventurers, oh my God, no.
No, there is when you have a paladin in the party. Otherwise, the paladin is not doing his job.
I think the only paladin we had at the party was a guy named Robert, and I got an earful on the ride home. Not at the table, but on the ride home.
That's backward of how you play a game.
Oh no! Even better, he was also our resident Mormon.
We had a lot. We often use our paladin to we pick him up, look him through the window, and if he sees evil, are they valid targets? Yes. We put the paladin back in the box, tie him back up, put the earmuffs and blindfold on him, and now we go kill the problem.
So who's the game master that I yell at for being a bad game master for that one?
Bruce.
Not me. Not me. Because
what did I do?
Because my players don't really I don't choose paladins when I run because they know better.
So a comment from on this from my chat from a good friend of mine, Scalaborn. Character, cast fireball. DM, the room is too small. The room is too small though. Character, I didn't ask the size of the room. I said I cast fireball.
That's a common meme. Yep.
Yeah, it's a common one. But yes, but the thing here is, but in essence, when you have a paladin, all you're doing there is just asking the paladin, are we allowed to kill it? And the paladin has to go, yeah, we can kill it. It's evil.
When would a paladin say, holy crap, what do you guys do for paladins? No, paladins have to be humble and oh my God.
The thing here, but okay.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do. You're thinking cavalier, not paladin. Paladins teach by example.
But the thing here is
paladins avoid hubris. They teach through humility and humble. Those are the two virtues of paladins.
I have almost never seen a paladin
That's
actually
a bad player or a bad game master to let him get by with that.
See, this is why I never played a paladin because I'm not lawful dumb. I mean lawful good.
No, and you're right on that for sure.
And the thing here is that usually when we do have our battle paladins who are all about we're out to go annihilate because they have that wonderful trick, that gift that allows them to see evil. Because I just checked evil. Okay, cool. And at that point, it's like, well, we're already in a hostile place. Everything is dangerous and evil. Everything's out to kill us. Hey, Paladin, is this a valid target? Yeah, they're evil. And because, well, we've already been attacked by 15 other occultists but in the previous 5 rooms of the dungeon, I think at that point, the Paladin, hey, how good are your on smites today? I'm down like my last 2 or 3. Can I conserve those for anybody who's major? Okay, we'll kill off the people who are minor. And at that point, there's no difference between the fighter, the ranger, and the rogue throwing alchemist fire into a room and lighting a room on fire, and locking the door and letting anyone burn to death.
I would never allow that to happen in my games, and the paladin keep his powers. That would just never happen.
But the thing is,
the paladin, the paladin must at all times be true to the religion, must be true to the tenets of lawful good, and the whole detect evil thing is detect evil intent. It's not detect evil. If an assassin is sitting at a table with an evil alignment, the paladin doesn't come in and go, oh shit, that guy's evil.
But the thing here is that there's almost no. I'm getting to there's no difference between alchemist, a whole bunch of alchemist fire being thrown into a room and a wizard casting fireball. The damage is the same. The area effect is roughly the same.
Then again, it's not about damage. Oh, shut the fuck up, Shadzar. Nobody gives a shit what the fuck you say. Jesus Christ. I'm surprised you guys don't have a fucking band everywhere.
Now, honestly,
I have no use for that piece of shit, so.
No, honestly, I do like the fact that if I got to have paladins the way you ran, like you want to run paladins, I'd be much more okay with paladins. But unfortunately,
that's how they should. No, I get what you're saying, and to be honest, in most games I see them played the way you guys talk about. So I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, your game sucks. No. It's a frustrating thing because so many people play paladins, so many people play them like cavaliers, and so many people play them like I'm just a holy warrior that can smite everything and crush it with my sword, and that's not how they're supposed to be played. In fact, we did a bunch of shorts based on old writings, the Player's Handbook, and some Dragon magazines that actually talked a lot about how people like Tim Cast and I can't remember all the names of those old people talked about paladins from the early days, and even made a distinction between the cavalier or crusader, whatever the hell it was, and the paladin.
See, my question here is not even what system, but what God does said lawful good. Paladin follow Cuthbert. St. Cuthbert was, you find evil, you do whatever it takes to put said evil into the ground.
No. Not to the ground, to justice.
It's been forever since I looked at his tenets, but he was fairly rough.
Which God are you talking about? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you say a specific God.
Cuthbert.
I don't know who the hell that is.
I think he was a Greyhawk.
Oh, yes, you're right. You're right. That is a Greyhawk. I don't know much about the Greyhawk gods, but you are right. That is a Greyhawk god.
If your deity that you are a paladin under says, go be a murder hobo, but only against evil, you are still paying attention to its attendance. Therefore, if Kai has a paladin who worships this god that doesn't really exist anymore.
That is such a cop-out way to play, though. It's like, I'm gonna find the one god that allows me to slay everything. I wouldn't go for it.
There are so many players who do that, though, and it's just
I agree.
I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm just saying
we're talking about old grognards.
The grognards are like, I have had players who are new going, oh, this one sounds fun. This is what you got to do. And like, okay.
Paladin is the hardest class to play, or should, in theory, be the hardest class to play.
I refuse to play a paladin. I absolutely refuse
100%
to play a paladin because they're no fun for me. By nature, I try to be a good guy, but on my best day, I'm an all right guy.
But sometimes good, you need to just eradicate the evil. You know what? You're so evil, I don't want you on my planet anymore. No, I get that.
I root for the Punisher. I mean, he is my hero. He is my paladin.
But that's why you and I are not paladins in real life.
Yeah.
No. Especially when most of my party alignments tend to drift towards lawful neutral to lawful evil. Not officially lawful evil, but we're heading towards that. Like, we're always sliding towards that. And it's always the paladin and like the one and the good cleric is going, please guys, stop being greedy. Stop trying to manipulate the engine the world to your rules. I'm like, the rules are there to be abused, motherfucker. And we're dragging back down. And I'm sitting here going, I'm the ref. I don't give a shit. Just do whatever you want. And then it always comes down to this. The paladin goes, it's either me or the entire party. And we're like, bye.
No, that's actually the right decision. That's absolutely 100% the right decision on both the side of the paladin and of the side of the party, if that's what it takes. Because if you've got a paladin in the group, there's nothing that says you can't have a thief. Unless the thief is completely antagonistic to the paladin and just going 100% balls to the wall against everything the paladin's beliefs. Outside of that, there's nothing wrong with that. But there comes a point that if you guys are going to be, and pardon the term here, but for ease of discussion, if you're going to be murder hobos, you cannot have a paladin in the party. It's that simple. Either or everybody has to flip that script and start saying, all right, I'm bringing the handcuffs with me. Damn it.
Okay.
And,
Hold on.
And because of that handcuff issue is why we had to bind up keep our paladin on a leash, distracted with shiny objects, so that way he's not paying attention.
Yeah, but paladins aren't stupid though either. They're not supposed to. Again, I another video we did, but based on old writings, saying that paladins aren't. Now, paladins, you can't just turn them around the other way and have them go la 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 and pretend like it didn't happen.
Yeah, no, I agree with that one. I just disagree that some paladins. I don't agree that paladins are not dumb. They wouldn't find themselves in that situation if they weren't dumb.
How many of them dump intellect?
Oh yeah.
So,
hey, charisma is my dump set. Oh, I'm playing a paladin.
But wisdom is a form of common sense, or we like to call it where I'm from, farmer's intelligence. Look, there's somebody who studies religion and knows how to fight. It can't be somebody who's just completely retarded.
Right. And 8 is not retardation. It's just slow.
Right. Well, see, and again,
I'm a paladin politician.
That just goes into a paladin politician. Nice. But that goes into the whole concept of people like, well, if a monkey's got an intelligence of 5, does that mean that the player character with intelligence of 4 is dumber than a monkey? No, it's a completely different scale of intelligence. Stop being stupid. That 5 is it's you're not dumber than a monkey.
We're in the negatives at 5 though.
Between 3, negative is one thing. You can be, but you're not a monkey. 3 is a viable character, and 18 is a highly intellectual character or highly strong.
I've known a few people that a monkey would put to shame on intelligence. I used to play with one.
I stand corrected.
I deliver to a few of them.
I stand corrected. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
Speaking of intelligence when it comes to give they are now suggesting that the octopus might be more intelligent that we ever gave it credit for.
Like brains in every tentacle or something. It's weird.
Yeah, it can do puzzles faster than a human being on some of these puzzles. I'm like, that doesn't
but can it write Shakespeare?
That is just public education.
Well, shit. Can I get an octopus at my table, please?
Right.
well, and then next thing you know, he starts going in doing adult videos, and then it's a whole other thing.
Oh, that's the Japanese octopi. They're the ones that do that with all the tentacles and so forth. True story.
One of them in a group.
True story. I asked my wife the other day. I got this little art program that Shauna was showing off, and not OGGM. Jim Zelkov and I were playing around with it, and I said, "Hey, what do you want me to type in here?" And the first words out of her mouth, I don't know, tentacles. I'm like, come on, really?
But to go back really quick,
it's part of her culture. Come on.
To go back about the paladin thing,
mm-hmm.
I don't think it's a cop out. I really don't.
No, it's a player cop out. It's finding the one thing that the player if I take this one, it's the one thing I can do that'll allow me to be the murder hobo I want to be. But even then, I would have to look at that god. I don't know enough about it. I have to look at that god and say, there's something not right about that. If your god is a god of paladins, you wouldn't just be running around murder hoboing everything. You'll be trying to bring to justice.
Out of curiosity, what systems do you normally run, if I may ask? 2nd
edition AD&D.
Oh God, see, yeah, I jumped onto how much money am I going to be spending on this game at 3.5 and never really looked back. And my problem with paladins, I have problems with paladins. I think done well, a paladin is a great blessing to any's party, but it also really depends on the player.
And it comes with so many requirements for not just that character or that player, but the party.
It does.
Yeah. But what if you make a second edition? Forgive my ignorance. Like I said, never played second edition. But I want to be a monk that takes. I give up all my shit, but my AC gets jacked up.
There's no vow of poverty in second ed.
Sadly.
For whom? The paladin there is.
No, for the monk.
The monk must come in a different book that I don't have.
10%, I thought, went away from the paladin's. I thought
the paladin has to tithe, but there is. I'm not gonna say there is no monk. There are 3 million splat books. I'm sure there's a monk somewhere, but the first edition or whatever edition it was that had the monk originally doesn't exist in second edition, at least not in the core book.
Okay. Like I said, I jumped in much later. I mean, I've heard stories about the first few of them. It's like somebody's like, hey, I have ADD. I'm like, yeah, so do I. Oh, you're not talking about that. Hey, there's this school. So I don't know. I guess you wouldn't know this. I've been paid to be a DM, and I have found that most of the time when I want to tell a story and I'm getting paid to do it, I will not exactly fall in line to the party's wishes, but I will make sure everybody who I want to remain at the party at the table to get the story going, to make them not happiness, but content-ish.
Well, I mean, you can homebrew anything as well. If you want to say in your world that paladins don't have those strict codes, or they have other codes that might be a little bit more loose, once something's identified as evil forever and in the future it can be considered evil and slain or something like that. I mean, again, you can homebrew whatever you want. I will never argue about that. I'm just talking core paladin. It's just a frustration with me because I see so many people abuse, especially with older editions of D&D, where attributes weren't 19s and 20s all over the place. You know, when you had a 14, a 16, 3 8s and a 12, you're like, all right, I'm ready.
I'm playing a paladin.
Right. Well, you couldn't. I guess that wouldn't be a paladin because I don't have the 17 charisma. But you get what I'm saying. Like, and then the paladin comes out with those excessive stats. You're like, holy crap! And those rules that come with it. It's like I don't know. It's just one of those things that really irk me about people abusing the whole paladin thing, or the player who justifies it. Well, you see, what really happened was no. Shut up. Your character went in there and hacked the head off.
That's really what happened. I said stop. And he didn't. Right. He just ran right into it.
Just because I was holding it straight out in front of me, saying stop at the bottom of my voice. Stop.
But yeah, it's like
now. I will say. Well, go ahead, Blaine.
Yeah, you really shouldn't be able to have to use your paladin as like a rubber stamp passport saying, look, we're traveling to the paladin. We're totally good, legit, good people. Because otherwise our paladin would have freaked out and killed half of us and then died or had wandered off.
But again, that's and I bet you're basing this on real play because I've seen literally what you said right there. The paladin shouldn't be killing player characters either. The paladin should be leading by example and,
But I have... Boy, paladins are judgmental motherfuckers, though. They literally just show up, and they're just like, and everyone else, okay, so we could solve this problem with minimal heartache and no injury. And the paladin, no, that is a dark and evil deed. That cannot happen. Fuck. Oh,
it's like they're made to be Catholic or something. Well, never mind.
And then we all go, okay, so, paladin, what is our strategy? Our rogue and our ranger have a plan that involves sneaking in, setting up an ambush, and assassinating one of them. Did I hear assassination? No. Sorry. Precision marksmanship into the head of the enemy force. Okay, but don't use the assassination word again, for that is dark and evil. Okay, so... And at that point, you're playing.
It sounds to me like it's been exaggerated on both sides of the fence. And again, I've played in those exact same games. I've seen it happen. That's why it's so frustrating for me, because when you see a good paladin played, and believe me, that was not me. When you see a good paladin played, you're like, holy crap. And you start realizing, and when you read up on it, you're like, it's the paladin, not the crusader or cavalier. That's your asshole. The paladin is supposed to be humble, lead by example. It's supposed to keep that humility, all those tenets in there. Would a paladin stop an assassin at every opportunity? No, but would try everything else first.
Now, I haven't seen a Crusader or a Cavalier has been changed. I changed in later editions to the point where it's unrecognizable.
Oh, is that true? Okay.
And because so Cavalier anymore is just pretty Ponzi boy riding horse with banner. And
so it's a knight or a cataphract. It's not actually a cat. Okay.
Yeah. So most of us who are playing we don't have Crusaders and Cavaliers anymore to look at to be our annoying do-gooder battle frontline battle charger into all evil. All we had, all of that's been rolled into Paladin. Paladin is the core is the core class. I mean, heck, second edition.
By the way, what Parrot had just said, and I'm not a big comic book nerd, but from my understanding, it sounds like what Captain America is supposed to be. Yes, that's a Paladin.
See, that's why I never liked Captain America. Now I know why.
The thing is, when the Paladins run right, they're amazing. But the problem here is that you don't have an outlet but everyone's gonna look at what really is a Paladin. Is it's your holy fighter. It's the divine. It's that divine guy in full plate who's got the ability to smash people
Let's say it right. What's the Paladin? I don't know. What skills and feats does he have? That's they don't care about all the other. Yeah, that fluff. Throw that fluff crap out. I get. So I can lay on hands and I can smack people across the face really hard. That's awesome.
All they care about is, do I get to wear full heavy armor? Yes. Do I get to use a heavy shield? Yes. Can I use the weapon of my god? What god lets me use the biggest damage weapon? Big hammer. I'm worshiping the god of big two-handers. Okay, cool.
And I can lay on hands too. So good luck trying to kill me.
And I could smite. And I have my ability to, because I'm holier than thou, I have the best saving throws on the planet. So you'll never kill me.
Excuse me, give me my mount, please. I want my Griffin mount right now.
And I'm on the second level, so give me a horse.
Wait a few levels, and I'll get a halo, an angel wings, or rainbows will shoot up my ass. Yeah.
And I'll inspire the entire party because they shall know no fear because I'm here.
No stupidity.
Because I had a dumb stat something. It sure the heck wasn't strength, con, charisma, and wisdom. I had to dump something. It had to be dex and smirts.
Spurts.
It smirts.
Can't be dex because I might need to make a reflex save.
Oh no!
See,
your charisma backs up your low dex save because you smile good, so you make saving throws. Fuck.
See, the other thing is too is even within Pathfinder, they have gotten away from the lawful good. They have also allowed a chaotic good.
Oh,
which
Jesus
is a paladin
Christ.
which is a paladin of freedom.
See, that goes back to the whole thing. Second edition in the stupid Paladin's Handbook had this knight errant or whatever the hell they called it, which is like, you don't even have to serve a god anymore. No, you're not a paladin if you don't serve a god. Fuck off.
Yeah.
Well, in Pathfinder, you had three choices when it came to religion. You could have a Bushido, which is your own personal code. You can find a divine source, or you can be an atheist. So I love it when clerics decide, I'm going to be an atheist. Who's going to
I worship nothing.
Well, I don't know. I know some atheists who are pretty religious.
At that point, you're just a divine sorcerer. Get over yourself.
That should. I mean, I get it's inclusive. No, shut up. The priesthood is not inclusive. If you don't just get powers willy-nilly across the universe. The god gives them to you. There has to be a god. Now, I don't care if your world's got some dumb elemental lord or something that gives you fire spells or some crap. Actually, that could be quite interesting. But it's got to be something. It can't be like, I believe in nothing, so I get spells. You're a wizard? Nope. I just pray to nothing. Wait, what do you
myself, and the holy eye? There we go.
There you go. I believe in me.
I hate myself with this anti-religious tome hard enough in the head. It gave me divine powers.
And now I can grant myself third level spells.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
I am so great. I shall bless us all.
Fuck.
I have to run head first into the biggest rock that I can find every morning.
Every time. Every time I take gain damage, I gain a level.
And that takes an hour every morning.
Weren't you guys talking about dungeons? Because
I
I'm sorry,
hour.
I missed like the first half hour. I came right when you guys saw, or when Bruce saw me type. That's when I caught up.
No.
Yeah, we're circling around.
This is the dungeon and toilet.
Yes.
Look,
Coriolis dungeon.
we had this massive, just detour when I mentioned war crimes. You're like, no, that can't happen. Oh no.
That's honestly something that in games. But what I love about what you guys are saying, both of you, because you were actually speaking to exactly the same experiences that I had. And that's one of the reasons why it's so frustrating for me. It's like, and now that you're telling me that the new versions of the game just cater to that anyway, it just makes me want to just bang my head against the wall and be like,
Yes.
clear.
Never buy
Pathfinder
it.
Second Edition does not even have paladins in it. They're called something else now.
Champions.
Champions.
Well,
yeah.
okay, what they changed the class. They changed the name of the class. They treat it differently. I have less heartburn over that.
Yes.
I've yet to actually sit down at any table that plays 4.0. I mean, Pathfinder Second Edition. I've yet to do it.
It's not. Yeah, it's all right.
It's more akin to 5 than 4.
My problem,
Yeah.
it took me a while to come around on 5th edition, but not as long as it has taken me to get along with 4th edition, where I've never got a handle on it. I don't need somebody to hold my hand when I'm playing, and this is Dungeons & Dragons, not Magic the Gathering. I don't need to have cards to, swing a
That's
sword.
4th. Yeah. Anyway,
Okay.
Dungeons.
Dungeons.
Quick, someone
Wait.
get us back. Detour back.
So
Wait.
Stoneheart Mountain Dungeon is Stoneheart Valley, the mega dungeon that I always reference. You start off in that probably about close to 3rd level, and once you start exploring it, you start feeling that there's various storylines available. That's really the reason why you want to have a dungeon, is because you want to discover a purpose as to why you're there, not just the fact that you would have normal random encounters with no planning or forethought. I don't want to have the bad DM that Blaine had running Blaine through a dungeon like, oh, on this page and this hallway, you get an encounter from this guy from page 67 of our Monsters Manual. Let's all turn a page and see what you're fighting. Oh, look. It's a bugbear lieutenant and it's 7 bugbears. Hail to you, Odyssey.
See,
I really don't want to have that type of game.
Please
A
no.
game where people they've got the ability for themselves to have tactics amongst each other. They have the ability to showcase their abilities, and they get an idea of where their limits are.
now, as I know, I said I will do random encounters in in dungeons, but yes, it is random, as in the fact that I already have a list of monsters you guys are going to run into down there already, and I'm rolling 2d10s to see, okay, is this number 1, which is skeletons, or number 15, which are oak or orcs or something, or goblins or kobolds or something.
See, you've done the one thing that most people don't do, and that's called prep work. And people don't do prep work. That's effort.
No,
And-
there's a book called The Lazy Dungeon Master for a reason. If you're not following that, you are not following the Bible of Dungeons and Dragons now, or so I was generally told.
What?
If your dungeon has more than 5 rooms, you are making a bad dungeon and nobody should play in your game. And I almost had a heart attack.
What
Oh,
are you?
Jesus.
Do we also need to follow the first Gygax 1-14 that says blah 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 blah? I don't give a shit. Or some other thing like I'm sorry. Now everyone open up your manuals to Dungeon B12. We're going to talk about book 4 today. Room 4 today. And And in this
I
room,
forget
there's
what the
an
setup
orc.
is, but there's like a setup for it. Like you have an entrance room, 3 meaningful rooms, and like a red herring room or something like that. I forget how it is. I'm like, that's the most boring dungeon ever. And there are people who live by that process.
And that is pretty much when I made the earlier joke of a dungeon can literally just be doorway, hallway, cake with orc in it, and that's
The orc's in the cake now?
yes, it's in the orc. It got
That was
orc.
the worst bachelor party ever.
Ever.
Pops out in the
all
chainmail bikini.
It's a surprise. Oh, here's a cake. Orc attack. Boom. Oh shit, we're dead. And in essence, I've just digested down the 5-room dungeon down into the exact same thing. And I
don't want to have an orc doing a dance of the cloaker.
Hey, that might be a saving throw right there. Otherwise, it
Hey.
gets like surprise on you or something.
This is coming from a guy who had a what was that, a battle dancer who wandered around with a banana hammock on it as his only outfit. So yeah, okay.
Attack the darkness.
So I know there's a few of us that are not big 5e fans, and that's fine. But I have to say, when it comes to dungeon crawls, there's a module they had. It was right after Dragon's Heist. It's called the Mad Mage Underneath the Mountain, or some variation of that one. Most dungeons, if you're doing on grid, because there for a while I had to draw all my damn maps. Talk about not having a life or dedication, whichever one comes up first. With that being said, most of them were 5x5 squares.
That's the standard.
Right. The maps for Underneath the Mountain, or whatever it was called, were 10x10s.
So they're older maps.
Yeah, as I say,
And-
that's old school mapping.
That's
Right.
old school mapping.
And the page folded out and folded out and folded out. And this is one map for this whole thing from 1 through level 5. I'm like, I'm not drawing that out. Y'all can go fuck yourself.
Well, so question for you guys, and if you answered at the beginning, just say, hey, watch the beginning of the stream and I'll do it.
All right.
So I struggle at dungeons. I admittedly struggle at dungeons because I sometimes get too realistic. Like, one of the things that bothers me about dungeons is how is it you kicked open a door, threw a fireball that went kaboom, and not like everything in this freaking dungeon coming out down the hallway at you, from the gelatinous cube that the goblins crawling over to all the hobgoblins and orcs that are in there trying to eat you. How is it that you go 10 more feet and all of a sudden there's another room with something in it? Like I can't, my brain can't wrap around that.
I get the quick answer to this.
Okay.
Okay.
It's called evasion.
Huh?
Yeah.
They have class levels, and it's called evasion because that's the only way that fucking makes sense. They should all.
No. I'm not saying that they weren't hit by the fireball. I'm saying that you went in there, you were making all the noise in the world. You're not even attempting to be quiet, and the entire dungeon is just 10 feet from you, are acting like, oh, I'm surprised that you were here.
As
Yeah,
somebody
no. Yeah.
as somebody who has the same hangups when I run, there's a reason why most of my groups have learned that stealth is the most important skill everyone should have, even the paladin. And everyone should have stealth because and all of my dungeons devolve into playing pretty much Hitman, because if you trigger wrong, well, guess what? Chain alerts are going to happen down the entire dungeon.
So you do that every time I've done that in my life. I've wiped out the party and got the players mad at me.
Oh yeah, players get mad. But eventually, a few of them learned and passed it on to when we're all making new characters, and I'm sitting here, doing my prep work for the first adventure, and then you have that one old player who goes, "Everybody take stealth, and then there's that one player who goes, "Fuck you, I'm not taking stealth." And then when we get into the actual adventure, and then suddenly, all right, we're all going to go in there and we're going to try to take care of this problem smart in a quiet, covert manner. And then there's the one player who doesn't have stealth, except for you. You guard the horses.
So I mean, but everything you're saying there, and correct me if I'm wrong, but everything you're saying there is from a new game perspective. There's no stealth in AD&D.
I know.
It's you use your own tactics. So you still have people wearing plate mail or chain mail armor that goes clink, clink, clink.
But the thing here is that even in older editions, we still tried to minimize, we were trying to always like control the environment. Like
right. But you you didn't do it through a skill roll. You did it through, hey, we're going to use these tactics. We're going to use
Right, from third edition on, we had the stealth, we had the move silently, hide, sneak skills, and all those various other stealth skills. And earlier editions,
wraps his foot around in rags. Okay, hey, that's fair.
And in older editions, we just went with the idea of we were constantly, we would go in there and wizards casting zone of, casting silence spells so that way the room's quiet. We have
holy crap, a wizard that isn't just throwing fireball, lightning bolt everywhere. Jesus,
yeah.
Why? What's with these tactics things?
I know. Or we had one player whose entire job is to run to the next doorway and block it so that way no one else is coming into the chamber, so there's no more ads flowing into the room. So he's tower shield locking up the door, and he's locking himself in, and he's buying us all time so that way we can murder the room.
What you are talking about right now, I haven't seen since the 90s.
Right, and that's when the last time we played second edition was the 90s. So, but the thing is, when we moved and changed editions, suddenly we got the ability that no longer is it only the rogue who gets to have the ability to move sneaky. So now we have, other classes can be sneaky. It pays to be smart. Okay, and suddenly our tactics changed from SWAT team tactics to more covert ops, murder everybody quietly, hitman missions.
But without Paladin.
And no, even with our Paladin, even the Paladin's being told to, look, Paladin, your job is to hold if he's to be the loud one going, I'm too stupid to figure out how to be stealthy, we're just going to tell him to, you guard, you play Tailgun Charlie. You hold the hallway. So
do they have rules in 3rd, 4th, 5th edition, whichever one you talk about there, that says like how far that noise travels? I mean, I hate getting rules lawyery like that, but is it something where you can just say, hey, stay 60 feet behind us and we're fine?
Yes and no. But the thing here is that those rules are really finicky and kind of buried. And so you got to spend time researching them. That once you have them written down and once you've I don't have it on hand, but they do have rules for sound transfer. So therefore, it's like you know that like 120 feet is about as far as somebody's able to have a shout, shouting orders in battle. So that way when the party's fighting on the field or in a large chamber, the guy who's 180 feet away, he's not telling the guy on the other side of the room what to do because communication issues are now. So
what he actually said was help me. No, what he actually said was go to the door and block it. What you heard is, oh my God, help me, I'm in trouble.
Well, yeah. Or you heard mumbles. Try to
go to the door and block it turns into go to the door and open it.
Yeah, there you go. As everything bounces around, yeah.
The thing is, those were also the days when you had like the dirt dives where you had the players walking through the mission like, okay, we're going to go into this room on this. You do this. So that way when we go in there, everyone knows the job.
Yes, that's the way to play.
And the thing is, but you always have that one player who goes, fuck it, I wasn't listening. I'm going in there and just charging in. And then the player goes, well, plan's out the window. Fuck it.
Leroy Jenkins!
Oh, God.
And it always happens. It's happened in every game before that event happened and afterwards. You always know that's the moment it's going to happen. The thing is, that's the fun of what a dungeon allows is for these kind of situations that you don't get in the we're traveling down. Wolves appear out of the woods. Oh, fuck. Okay, wolves fighting. Travel. Bandit attack! No, dungeon is that wonderful environment where suddenly, okay, I can only move 15 feet. I'm gonna hold the hallway. Okay, and now the game element kicks in, and now it's like you actually have to do your job, and that means telling the flauncy talky face guy to actually do his job. Being the guy who's usually the talky face guy, I'm like, okay, I will be in the background singing cool motivational music for everybody else while we're fighting. But hey, you know your job, you do your job. There you go.
So you don't do your dungeons with random encounters?
No, but I follow Connell's thing. I do my prep work. I know what random shit I'm going to be in there. So it isn't just simply every room has 5 soldiers, like 5 minions and a commander for that room. and you just some guy who's got actual levels, and the rest are just there to soak actions.
Right. If the dungeon I'm doing is more than, let's say, 2 levels, let's say it goes down to a whopping 4. If the party I'm not with Sound Developer, if they're on level 1 and all hell breaks out, I'm going to say level 2 knows, but not level 4. Maybe not even level 3. But level 2 definitely knows because sound does carry.
Oh, yeah.
So
about 120, 130.
You clear out a horde of, I don't know, kobolds. XP. Oh, I'm so dead. XP. The floor underneath it knows. Oh God, XP is happening. We got to
let's go get our own XP. Let's go kill some heroes.
Right.
The best time is when the party's sitting here going, okay, so we're going to search every body, pile out and sort out all the treasure, and then you're sitting here going, so how long are you taking? Well, we need to identify all the we're going to appraise items and figure out what value and who's going to get what gear in, and that's when the orcs show up.
I'm going to take 20. I'm going to take 20 on searching the bodies, even though I know that there's a horde of
10 whole minutes later.
Yeah,
and the orcs have had time to go, all right, so our battle plan's going to be what? All right, let's go. So, yeah,
that's one of the reasons why I like the old school play better, is because we would go in, and one of the things that would happen quite constantly is I'd go in, get beat up, and you didn't heal in 5 seconds. Once you guys were out of spells, you were healing over 2-3 weeks, right? So you would grab what you could. You knew that there's a lot of stuff in there. Like, they'd even say things like, dude, we left like 10,000 gold pieces and like 15 magic items in there that we couldn't carry out. Now that's excessive. I never have 15, but you get what I'm saying. Like, we need to go back and get that crap. Like, I'm not going to let that sit there.
You left money on the table.
You never leave money on the table.
Right. And then, of course, when they get back, they find out that the bodies that they stacked in nice cordwood style are now actually used against them because, why not use the rotting bodies of my buddy to protect the entrance? And as you get there, you're being sniped at by some goblin,
Right.
Put the bodies over here, put the heads over there. Because who doesn't want a pyramid of heads?
Yeah.
I do. I want one.
Sorry, I watched what was that Venom earlier today, and that movie just makes my inner child giggle.
I am all up for building a mountain of skulls outside their town and go, this is what's going to happen if you don't surrender. You know that, right?
I mean, it's like homebrew. Homebrew is a whole different feature, though. Even when it comes to dungeons, homebrewing is its own subsection. And if you play, hey, I'm going to do, I don't know, second edition. I was supposed to say Curse of Strahd. And you make it through all the bigotry and the werewolves, and you finally go save the princess from the evil Dracula wannabe, and she's down in this dungeon. 3 hours later, you're still kicking around the skulls. Like, did we were supposed to go left or right? That's a dungeon to me.
That is. Then again, I'm personally of the idea that when you get to Strahd, you find out he actually died like a week ago, and the note just says whoever finds this note next is now the new Lord of Ravenloft.
What a twist!
Now you're stuck in there and the only way that you can escape is if you fix Ravenloft.
When that came
out, bad person.
Right. That game, the module for 5th edition came out. Speaking Curse of Strahd, when that module came out, there was a couple things on the internet, especially on YouTube, of people saying if you can get a table of players willing to do it, you can knock out that whole book within like 4 to 5 hours. And I'm like, a straight play? I can't get 2 hours out of straight play of the bastards I'm running for.
The thing is, that's a group of people, though, who know all the beats that you're going to be doing in Curse of Strahd. That's not the average party is not walking into Curse of Strahd knowing everything that's going to happen ahead of time. So
I mean, the first major thing in that book was the murder house. You come upon a house, and underneath you meet 2 creepy children who lead you into a dungeon that, because you're basically first level, you get killed by Swamp Thing in the basement.
Pretty much. But yeah.
Well, see, and then the other thing, you were talking about them leaving a note, or they just leave a note that says, "I'm sorry, your vampire's in another castle."
But have that castle
Mario
locked up so that you
Brothers.
can't get out. Unless you can somehow turn to gaseous form like a vampire, you can't get out of there. You're stuck in that castle.
Yeah, but the thing is that it's fun. Like if your players walk in going, "We already know Curse of Strahd pretty well," it's like, well, then you better change it up. You better change that dungeon up because well, they already know the answers. Why hand them the
That's
answers?
the other thing I've struggled with, and some of the people who've watched Legion of Myth before, or other people's channels I've been on and said this, like it's a weakness of me when it comes to dungeons. I'm that guy that wants to run it as written. That's why I don't do modules, because I know that's not how they're supposed to be run, but I can't help it. It's that I mean, I don't have any sort of A or O or MDDs or whatever, but it's like some sort of like little OCD compulsion. It's like, that's the way it's written. That's how I have to run it. That's how I want to run it, and I know I need to change it. And when I do change it, I'm always like, but did I by changing it, did I screw up the writer's intent? And it's like, oh my God. Like when I write a module, I would never say run it as written. I would say, oh my God, if you run it as written, you're weird. But if I grab your module, I have to run it as written. Like, you see what I'm saying? So I've always struggled with that with dungeons.
Yeah, and more power to you on that one. I am the exact opposite. I'm the one who looks
I want to be the exact opposite. Teach
but the thing
me.
here, okay, the answer to that one is quite simple. Don't give it when was that module written? What, 1979? Don't give a shit about
the original Strahd.
80s
82 or 84.
Oh, the original one. Let me look.
It was in the early 80s, early to mid 80s, I think.
Yeah, it's early.
As Max turns around and goes to his bookshelf of holding.
Hold on.
I'm sorry. My bookshelf of holding only has Legend of the Five Rings and Shadowrun on it, so I don't have anything useful on it. So I don't have
all mine are downstairs.
right. So
In the
I have
library.
nothing. I have nothing of value. Oh wait, no, I do have somebody's old second edition player's handbook over here. Cool.
Well, I can't find it right now. I probably mixed it in with my Ravenloft stuff instead of my modules, but
Yeah, the thing is that unless you're playing with the actual writer or having the actual writer over your shoulder going, that's not what I intended. You can actually have a bit more fun going.
oh no, I my brain knows
83.
this. Like,
Yeah,
I can
but-
talk to you
but
about this and say this, but when I'm in the module, when I see it, when I see a place where I'm like, okay, I really need to change this spot up because of what the characters are doing, because I know they already know the secret or something like that. I'm just like, no, but this is the way it's supposed to be, and I just get that block.
And there are some moments where if your players do have that where you think you're the most cunning GM in the entire universe, and your party goes, "We figured out the entire plot line right now," and I'm like, "Okay, what are you gonna do with the fact that you now have that you know what I'm doing?" And then it becomes the power dynamic shifts a little bit, and for once it's not you as director and your party reacting. Now it's the party's directing to a degree. For as long as they're accurate, they get to have a little bit of control.
And you know what? And if they can do that legitimately, that's great. I want a party that can think like that. What I don't like is when they read the module beforehand, and that's why.
God, no.
Oh yeah.
The
Which is
moment
why you always change the module, but I never change the module.
So
No,
the first Ravenloft book came out in 83.
Okay. Well, I can almost guarantee you that the guy who wrote the original Ravenloft book probably is not going to be here to talk to us.
I don't know.
While we're
Tracy
GMing.
Hickman pops up everywhere. He popped up in Germany when I was out there. I'm just saying.
Man, okay. If he shows up in rural, in some small town in central Illinois, and to yell at me for not running Ravenloft right, first off, I'm calling security because he's not where he's supposed to be.
Security.
I mean, did you escape the old folks' home? Please go back.
I mean, there's definitely a strong argument to play the rules as written, especially for modules. And it really doesn't matter what module is, because with new players. Let me put this with new players. When I am having people sit down at a game shop and I'm running for them, pick a module that came out in the last 10 years or 20 years or whatever. 10-1, if they're under the age of 20, they've never played it before.
Oh, they never have.
Sure.
Right. So I can get around playing running Rise of the Rune Lord out Pathfinder 5 different directions with kids who don't even know what
it was.
Come from, and I can tinker around with this didn't work last time, but this way, just to not
Make it
once
better.
again make it better for the players, because if it's a group of buddies sitting around the table, you can basically abuse them however you want because they'll put up with it because unfortunately they like you. But if you're working through a game shop, the kid gloves have to stay on.
They do, and I understand that. I mean, rules is written now. See, I guess I have to differentiate between the people who play on that competitive. I don't know. I know it used to be called RPGA or whatever the heck it was called. The official TSR certification
RPGA.
for and I know it's got new names. It's been rebranded to I don't know
Adventure
whatever
League, or is that the Pathfinder
Adventure
one?
League or Society Play or whatever. Like those people, they have to play it by the book because you know what? They're playing an officially sanctioned game in an officially sanctioned environment, and it might as well be a pseudo convention tournament.
And those characters go with those people around the world. They get like signed off on and so forth. The group that I was in when I was in Germany, they were all society players, and they got mad at me because I refused to sign up for the society. I said, no, I want actual experience points, not this weird stuff that you're handing out. Yeah. But they're absolutely serious about it. They got certified. You have to follow.
And for those kind of people, you know what? Cool. Play it, run it. You're just trying to like beat your best times and hope your dice don't fuck you. Mm-hmm. And that's that. And
those adventures are god awful.
Well, yeah.
Because except for the one in Pathfinder when you find a pair of mech suits, that one was actually fun to run.
Oh God. Iron Gods or something like that.
Yeah, Iron God. Yeah, it's something like that. It was so bad. It made me giggle, and everybody left the table that night laughing and having a good time. It was pure cheese, but they enjoyed themselves.
Now, but the thing is that most of us, I don't think any of us are running a society or Adventure League game, so none of us need to be signed off. None of us have to worry about the evil overlord who at corporate HQ going, I believe you are running the game incorrectly.
At the current moment, technically, I'm working at a brick store. So, yes, I'm running society.
Okay, so you're running it, but unfortunately, fortunately for everybody else, most of us are running out of our basements or out of private locations. So,
that's where you get to abuse your friends. I get it.
But even if you play at a store, society play being something totally different. But when I played in stores in the past, it'd be like, let's say you were running a game, but all right, I'm gonna be running a game. It's going to be use Forgotten Realm Gods, but it's going to be my own maps and a 3d6 straight down the line. All right, come back next week with your characters. It'd be stuff like that. And then you'd come finding out that that it's a homebrew setting, of course. But nobody complained about this stuff. The only thing was like, just let me know what to expect. So when I make my character, I just got to know that it's viable in your world. Other than that, who cares?
Yeah, right. I completely agree with that style of gaming. But
I'm talking that was gaming stores. That's when I lived in New Mexico and Illinois and
before the millennials, or whatever generation we are on now took over. I was born in 83. So by definition, I'm a millennial, but I hate my own generation.
Youngin.
Gen X, baby.
Tail end of Gen X.
I want to be Gen X. All my friends are of that generation. I get you people. I don't get my own people. It's just bad.
You people.
But no, this is why society and Adventure League was created. It's because somewhere down the line they've decided it's okay to give everybody a trophy. I'm sorry you shit your pants on third base. Go home with a trophy. And that's why these systems were created the way they are.
But all League is just a continuation of
RPGA.
RPGA. So it's been around for longer than what.
But I will say I had a lot of experience with RPGA, and while some of those nerds in there were annoying, and how technical they would get with how points were distributed and so forth. Every time I played, at least at War Games West when I lived in Albuquerque, I had lots of fun playing there. Outside of that location, but because they didn't take it too seriously, it was almost like a real game. They did follow the dumb little rules and so forth that you had to follow, but I don't know. It was definitely more fun. Every time I've played, now I haven't played any Adventure League, but I have played Pathfinder Society because that was the only group I could find. And no, it was all about, I need to do this so I can get my 5 points or whatever and my citation saying I showed up today.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, there's so much paperwork, and that's the one part of it I absolutely hate. Is I end up doing more paperwork saying you showed up and played than I am putting prep work into my table.
As somebody who likes paperwork, I find that annoying.
It's the reason why I don't play Wizards. Wizards equal paperwork.
You know,
you do the paperwork, you file everything properly, you can warp reality. That's all it comes down to.
The tabletop game I'm rewriting there, Andy, it never once mentions that you should have Hero Labs or PC Gen for your character. It always says, write your character up with a spare college rule notebook, and you'll be fine.
Oh, no, that's fair. But I'm translexia and dyslexia. So I need trying to do this stuff is not my best friend.
That's why you use the computer to assist, then transfer to paper. That's why you need one of these just on hand at all times.
These are gamer nerds. We don't use logic.
I don't know. Is this college?
You want
rule?
logic?
Yeah,
You're war gamers.
That's like a communications company, actually, dealing and communicating with each other. Each partner.
Look,
That's
you were in the military. You know this, and I think it's true in the civilian world when I worked there as well. Comm troops are the worst communicators.
Yes.
actually, no, because the commo guys were my buddies. So
first of all, you guys in the army can't even say it right. You add a stupid O like it's Spanish on the end of it.
Commo.
COMMO.
I got nothing.
I'm out. I'm watching now.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Hey, before we
you
get
go over there and build something.
Popcorn.
What's that?
Bruce, go over there and build something.
Yeah, let me go get some popcorn before we get this started. Hold on. Ding, ding. Round one.
There's no O on the end of comm. Stupid army weirdos.
Calm.
So, now the dungeons, Max, the easiest way that I've ever used a dungeon is I get familiar with the layout.
Right.
I look at the layout, look at the map of it, and once I have an idea of how that map is set up, I think of things like, where would the food be? Where would the monsters go to eat?
And when I build my own, I have no problems. It's using anybody else's module dungeons. That's where I struggle.
It shouldn't be hard for you. It really should not.
No, because every time I see a module dungeon, I'm like, oh, you guys walk stomping in there. The entire dungeon should now be coming out trying to eat you. The Hydra at the bottom heard you. You were so stupid, and should be coming out here to the.
I agree.
This is why every dungeon needs to have like a line of zombies who howl at every 40 feet in the walls. So that way, when the fight starts, the zombies just go, ah! And then they just summon all the other ones. And then the necromancer at the bottom of the dungeon, 18 levels down, goes, oh, I have guests.
Early warning system just went off.
My early warning zombies have gone off. Dispatch the whites.
Baron T-Rock, can you go up there and set up the trip zombies again, please?
Okay.
So a couple of weeks ago, I'm in one of my buddies' campaigns, and I'm playing. I can't believe I'm playing a bard, and I know what you're going to say, Bruce, but I'm playing a bard. And I cast sleep, and because I'm past a certain level, it gets an extra D8 or extra D8, right? I cast sleep. The orcs that were about ready to fight go with sleep. They go unconscious. And the kobold goblin goes and does psychic plague and kills one. The barbarian, not the paladin, because we don't have one in the party. We should not kill them while they're asleep. We need to wake them up, then kill them. Like, are you fucking kidding me?
A barbarian with a conscience? When did that happen?
See, this guy, like, you can trace
because
this back
of honor. is dishonorable.
I can't gain honor from from sleeping people. No.
I mean, if you think about it, a lot of the barbarians are very deep in with honor.
If you play your barbarian more Native American oriented, I guess I could see that. If you're playing your barbarian the freaking Nordic Viking way, where you're out there without a shirt on in the middle of a blizzard, smacking things with your coked up battle axe, hey, you don't care. You're blood eagling everybody. Sometimes your friends.
Someone put the sleeping potion. Look, someone put the sleeping I poison in the milk for the barbarians so we can actually do the real work. Bloop, bloop.
Yeah, we're going to totally B.A. Baracus this.
Yep. Great. The Klingons pissing about honor again. Quick, spike his milk so that way we can go out and kill people properly.
This guy wakes up the orc and tries to tie him up and wakes him up and says, "Hey, where's your leader? We're gonna go through the dungeon. It was actually supposed to be a dungeon crawl." And what does he do? The orc yells something in Orcish, which the DM basically says, "Intruders, danger, Will Robinson, intruders." And next thing I know, a party of 5 are facing down like 6, 8 different orcs, and I'm looking at the barbarian. I'm like, go on, now rage because you did something stupid. Go fix your mistake.
Please be mad at yourself over this.
Yes. So when you do something dumb in the beginning or the middle of the dungeon, yes, it should have consequences. There should be a line of ass-kicking, whatever, below levels coming up to greet you with a smack to the face.
And that's
what you're thinking.
And that's the fun of what a dungeon gives you. But I hate to say it, we've just hit 2 hours, and I would like not to go too far past that. Only because I have work in the morning.
This is why you never invite Max to a stream.
If I ever have a day off where I don't work and there's a stream, that'd be great. I'd love to have a 9-hour stream. That would be fantastic. But I have this thing called work in the morning and trucks.
I'm lucky if I have about a 3-minute streams, but that's early when I first wake up.
And and DOT doesn't like you when you don't sleep and drive.
Oh, come on, Garrett. That was funny.
You guys missed it today. We were getting ready for the morning meeting, and the news came on, and they were showing a Amazon Prime truck in San Antonio. Let me see if I can pull up this.
Well, Bruce is pulling that up. I will say thanks for inviting me in. I enjoyed our Paladin rant. We'll have to do that more often.
I'm happy to have somebody bring a new take on Paladins.
You can't see it because I don't have my camera on, but I'm shaking my head because that's the old take.
Look, it's a fresh take on Paladins.
Okay, there we go. Yeah. Dungeons are something though that is always when I make my own, I tend to do fine. But then again, I don't do weird dungeons. Like my brain gets in these things like, why is this here? I remember I talked with Grim about this one time, and he's similar to this. Like, why is this dungeon here? This doesn't make any sense. Nobody would build this. I'm not doing this. So most of my dungeons tend to be cave systems or sewer systems or even more like castles, like in Earthdawn, they're called cares, but they're like above ground cities, things like that, instead of just dungeons, or maybe like a catacomb. Like I actually copied the catacombs from Paris and utilized that.
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, not the semi, but the catacombs from Paris.
That's also awesome too. No. You're right. If you guys want to keep going without me, that's cool. I can bow out. So
we could, but it wouldn't be nearly as fun. This guy jackknifed today. He knocked out this truck, this little like freezer meat truck off the road, and he jackknifed, and then he went off the highway and onto the frontage road southbound I-35.
Is everybody okay?
I haven't read up on the story too much. I heard he was in. They took him, and they thought he was in intensive care first.
God.
Thank you, Shadzar, for putting my Discord there in the company chat for tonight's session. I want to know, do you guys want to continue this next Thursday? Because I think this is kind of something that we're all angling to talk about. Not, I want to tell you about my game, but I want to tell you about ways that you can help interpret things that you've stumbled over before and you have had issue with. Like with Max, he has a problem with dungeons. With me, I have a problem with equality. With just basic things. So
We all had fun.
I want to know if you guys want to do this again. We could have not a second discussion, but a continuation of.
Hey, a part 2? What?
Oh.
Cliffhanger? What?
Well, as I've said before, Bruce, I am more than willing to come on to your podcast whenever you want me to. I don't have a life otherwise.
Hey,
So-
cool. I'm okay with this. Someone else bounce off is great.
And just as a side note, tomorrow night. Wait, today's Thursday, right? Yeah. So
Yes.
tomorrow night, I do have my chill stream. There's no unscripted evil for the rest of this year, so my chill stream will start at 7 p.m.
If I can get free, I'll make it.
Cool.
Well, it's nice to talk to you again, Max. I think this is the second time we've talked.
Something like
I
that. Yeah,
never
no,
had-
it's always fun. The fact that you guys put up with me is great, so I appreciate that.
I'm usually only talk to you via like 200 characters at a time. So, or by
I thought it was 2,000 characters at a time on Discord because I don't do Twitter much.
it's 200 on YouTube. It's 2,000 on
okay.
on Discord, and I tend to write small thesis papers. So,
Hey, that's my style as well, so I have no problem with that.
all right. Oh God, equality, ecologies in our dungeon.
Well, that's the topic for tomorrow. No.
I
And
can't make that.
there is Max's link there.
How do we have
Both
equity
mine and
between
Bruce.
hobgoblins and goblins and dragons?
Well, goblins and hobgoblins are the same species. Dragons are just horny and they'll do anything.
What world are you? Wait, where are your dragons coming from? Because if I see a dragon with a schlong coming after me, I'm running.
I'm just saying.
Cobalt-
Dragons are the new Zeus. They get
These
it.
are miniatures. You have a new quest.
Kobolds come from somewhere.
Oh my God.
I remember reading it was a splat book for 3.5, but what could breed with what? Like humans can breed with most things.
No.
Like,
No.
and then they got down to dragons, and dragons can breed with everything. I'm like, oh my God.
The worst that I saw was actually in 5e where somebody showed that a furbog and a gnome had a half species. I said, I'm out.
I'm done. No.
What would that be called?
God.
A Osnob? A nob? A nomfob?
God,
A tribble.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
guys, well, I was
Yeah,
going to
it's
go to
almost
sleep.
triple.
Now I'm not going to be able to sleep thinking about that one.
great braid.
Just-
Shut up.
Yeah. Yeah, just don't think about the ants chasing you on your bike either. You'll be fine.
I mean,
I'm
there's
not
other
10
questions
anymore.
I want to ask to that. But this is not the time or place for that.
Dragon gnome kobold. Okay. Yeah.
Is it
no.
like a Great Dane hooking up with a Chihuahua? You just feel bad for the Chihuahua? I mean,
No, but the Chihuahua's the male.
oh. So there's a joke, but it just neither the time or the place to go to that.
Nopes.
All right, guys. Thank you much for definitely joining us. Make sure you do go check out Max over on his channel because probably myself and Bruce will probably be over there tomorrow.
If I can make it.
And we will be back and we will revisit this next week.
All right.
So,
see you in 7 days then.
Yes, the Dungeon Classic Orgy. Amazing topics. We'll be reading our whole. You'll have an entire grouping of fans from the East.
This is the cliffhanger, Bruce. We have just started talking about the dungeon we're going to talk about next, Mistress of the Dark's dungeon.
And remember,
Oh.
safe word is kumquat.
Fire at will.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us at Tablebreakers. We'll see you on episode 10 next week, 7:40 p.m. or 1940 for you DD214 motherfuckers. Take care, everybody.
Night.
Bye, everybody.